To counter higher government debt at the time of record inflation, a survey says the UK needs to cut 200,000 government jobs over the next couple of years. The UK's economy is in danger of adding billions to the national debt as a result of economic slowdown, tax cuts, and packages being doled out for citizens. According to the Institute for Fiscal Studies, or IFS, public sector wages in the UK are on track to increase 5% this year. This would be around half the current rate of inflation, but higher than budgeted when spending plans were drawn up in 2021. The IFS study said about 100,000 job cuts this year would ensure the overall wage bill was unchanged. If pay increases with inflation in 2023, the government would need to cut another 100,000 jobs to keep the bill in check. Departments have been told to find internal efficiencies, which is often seen as a code for job cuts. There is a potential opportunity as the public sector workforce grew by 250,000 over the pandemic to around 5.5 million. The government is already pushing through plans to cut around a fifth of the 500,000 strong civil service, those who work directly for the government. It says the headcount reduction could save $4 billion every year. The UK is looking at many options to avoid spiralling debt, thereby avoiding fiscal deficit. Reports say the UK's government will need to find $5.6 billion of savings this year alone. Chancellor of the Exchequer, Kwasi Kwarteng, is already facing a massive challenge to keep the public finances under control without reversing any more of his tax-cutting pledges. Now, for more on this, we are being joined by Klisma Murati from London, who is a strategic affairs analyst and economist. Thank you for being with us on this broadcast. Now, the new report says the UK will need to cut thousands of jobs to avoid a debt spiral. What impact will it have on people if this happens?
That's a good question, Alison. And we need to realize that this information comes from one report out of many which comment on the UK economy and health of the UK economy post-COVID and during the crisis of inflation that we see brought on by fiscal measures and also by Russia. Now, if you have to take this report at face value and say this is what must happen in order to fix the economy, I think that goes beyond the remit of the report, only because government spending has, since under this new chancellor, has really taken a divergent path if you compare it to past conservative administrations. This high borrowing that Kwasi Kwarteng has engaged in is causing nothing but problems for the UK economy, and we'll see debt rise, and has seen UK debt rise significantly since he's taken his position. Cutting all of these jobs could be part of the solution, but won't cause a wholesale U-turn in the fiscal problems that we face here in the UK.
Right. Can you shed more light on the wages of public sector employees and how cutting their jobs will help the economy?
And that's what I find quite difficult, because you're saying that we have overemployed people in the past. We've inflated sort of the government sector jobs. And now, because we've done such a bad thing, we have to U-turn on this. That's essentially what this report is saying. And it's saying it's the fault of the government that they've hired so many people, so now they have to cut jobs. So who do you place, I guess, if you like, the blame on in this case? Is it the fact that the government have taken measures to overemploy, or is it their fault now that they've now overborrowed? So whichever way you slice the cake, you're going to find that the government is sort of at fault in this. So cutting all of these jobs, again, as I said, may have cost savings in the short term. That's if they even manage to cut this many jobs, right? And essentially government pay increases, depending on what sector you work in, come at different rates. Okay, so if you work in healthcare or in education, you may not see your pay package rise as significantly as in other sectors. So, in my estimation, they're probably looking to cut jobs in sectors which have seen a high rise of pay relative to inflation, but is not politically as sensitive to cut these jobs. So they're looking at probably back office staff in different departments in the government. But it's really hard to say whether this will have any long-term positive impact, and I don't think it will.
Right. Kwasi Kwarteng has rolled back that controversial budget, but it did disrupt the economy, so much so that the Bank of England mentioned a significant material impact. What are your comments on this?
I think Kwasi Kwarteng is now regretting essentially such I'd say violent changes in UK fiscal policy compared to past administrations. Now, although unemployment in the UK is still at the lowest rate it's been since 1984, so probably 3.6% now, and the Office of National Statistics will come out in 2 days' time to update these unemployment figures, this did not have any material change to the unemployment rate, because again, this budget only got put into effect last week or so. So the actual impact on the real economy has impacted importers of goods, because with the weakening pound at that rate, we saw costs of imports from outside of the UK in other currency denominations increase the price for companies. But for exporters, for at least that short period of time, it was a good thing. So when these things happen in the real economy, it has some material impact, but the impact of his budget impacted the financial economy more so than the real economy. And now the fact that he's trying to reform his policies and trying to put out something better is a good sign, but he really shouldn't have come out with the policies that he did in the first place.
Right. Kuzman, thank you very much for your valuable analysis and insights there.
Thank you.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.